Hello everyone, it's Theme Park Avenue, I'm Eric. Universal's Islands of Adventure is one of the best theme parks in the world. However, there are some things I would change about the park if I owned it. So today, I'm going to tell you what those changes and new additions are. Before we get into the topic of this video, please subscribe to the channel. In return, you will get more coaster content, and we are well on our way to 2,000 subscribers. Now to kind of go over the framework here, this is not going to be a 5-year plan or anything like that. I'm just going to share 3 different ideas I have for expansions, new rides, removals, and new lands for Islands of Adventure. And now let's get into it. First, let's talk about things I don't really think need any changes. I feel that Marvel Superhero Island is great and should not be changed. Hogsmeade, fantastic, does not need any changes, though I would like a different locker policy for Hagrid personally, but that's a very minor nitpick. I also feel that Jurassic Park on its own is excellent, does not need to be changed. And finally, Port of Entry and Toon Lagoon. Some have a few complaints about them, and I understand that a SpongeBob re-theme of Toon Lagoon would be really awesome, but for now, I love Toon Lagoon, I don't want to change it. Now, let's get to the first major change I would make to the park. Keeping in mind, I'm not really talking about feasibility, just what I would really want in the park. And first of all, Jurassic Park does have one big thing I want changed. I'd like a new dark ride added, but I would also like a ride in the area removed. I know what some of you are right now thinking. How can I possibly remove Jurassic Park River Adventure, such a legendary ride? Well, that's not quite what I'm referring to, as technically, Skull Island is part of the Jurassic Park area. I would like that ride removed. Personally, it is my least favorite of the major attractions at Islands of Adventure. I just don't think it's all that impressive. It does have the nice facade, the queue theming, and the animatronic, but it is otherwise a fairly boring ride with some mediocre screen technology, and I think there are much better things they can do in the Jurassic Park area. What do I have in mind? One possible replacement is Jurassic World Adventure. For those who don't know, this is an incredible dark ride that was put in Universal Studios Beijing. It seems to be the absolute best of the best, so honestly, I think it'd be a great pick. In terms of potential issues of it being a clone dark ride, I don't think it's a big deal, as it's currently only in China, and there are not a whole lot of people in the States that go to Chinese theme parks. So I think one in the US and one in China, that'd be pretty strong, and I would definitely like to see Universal get this dark ride. Should they decide not to get Jurassic World Adventure if they were to replace Reign of Kong, I do think a Gyrosphere dark ride would be cool. For those who are unaware, Jurassic World Adventure currently uses the Spider-Man ride system, but while in development, it was going to be a Gyrosphere type system like in the Jurassic World movies. Given the shift to Jurassic World that has happened with the park, I do think either of these would work very well. I'd be satisfied with either. Knowing the incredible product that came from Beijing, I think Jurassic World Adventure would be preferred for me, but a unique Gyrosphere ride system would be really awesome as well, especially given that they do have the Spider-Man ride system at Islands of Adventure right now. That said, either one would be really great, and it would add an e-ticket attraction to an already fantastic theme park with great dark rides. Sticking on the note of dark rides, there is another area that I think has a ride that must be removed. That is Seuss Landing, and the Cat in the Hat just needs a change. It is without a doubt the most dated ride at Islands of Adventure. It just has not aged very well overall. The ride system is fine, but it's much cheaper than the other dark rides in the park, and most of the effects are just really not that good. I'm not necessarily saying I dislike the ride, I think it has some fun moments, but overall, it's just by far one of the weakest links at Islands of Adventure. So I think either a full refurbishment with a similar story but stronger technical effects would be good. However, I would personally prefer a replacement theme to a different Dr. Seuss character. Yes, the Cat in the Hat is possibly the most recognizable, but there are two others who have been very popular and could make for great dark rides. The first is The Lorax. The book The Lorax has quite an interesting story that I think would make for a really great dark ride. I would absolutely love to see one about how you go into the forest of truffula trees, and then there are a big bunch of issues with the Onceler and pollution and all of that, and I think that'd be a good ride. Perhaps darker for kids maybe, but at the same time, there's been a kids movie for The Lorax, and Lorax is a children's book, so I think it'd be quite good. The other one I see as a possibility is The Grinch. If they would incorporate the music in, that would be the best dark ride ever for young kids. I would absolutely love to see a Grinch dark ride, given that The Grinch is my favorite of Dr. Seuss books. I still love the Dr. Seuss books overall, and I think either of these could be really great. I could also see a case for a Green Eggs and Ham dark ride, but it'd be a little looser story-wise, so I would prefer either Lorax or Grinch. But that is a big change I like to see at Islands of Adventure. Either refurbishing Cat in the Hat, or replacing it with a How the Grinch Stole Christmas type dark ride. That would be very nice, because Cat in the Hat's currently a bit weaker than other dark rides at the park. Final idea. This one is not about rides per se, but it would definitely be the biggest of changes. There is one area at this park everybody talks about needing change, and this is kind of because of Harry Potter, but the Lost Continent area has unfortunately quite lost, pun intended, its charm. It used to have quite a bit going for it. Dragon Challenge, or Dueling Dragons when it was in the area. And there's a lot more going on there, but right now they have Poseidon's Fury, which has not been open for a bit as far as I know, which is widely considered one of the weakest attractions in either Universal Park. The Sinbad show is done, and this area is essentially now anchored by a talking water fountain and a restaurant. That is unfortunate. So this is the one area of the park, while it does look beautiful, that is kind of bringing down Islands of Adventure. Even if I don't love Reign of Kong and I don't love Cat in the Hat, other people really do. So those areas are not in dire need of change. However, plenty of people think Lost Continent needs a change, and I would agree. A mix of it kind of not having a great consistent theme, and also just the fact that there isn't much going on there. I would like to see this area rethemed, and while there could be some licensing issues, I think if Universal could get Nickelodeon to do a full themed area, it would be amazing to see Lost Continent rethemed to Ba Sing Se from Avatar the Last Airbender. This show has actually gained quite a bit of steam recently, thanks to streaming services allowing it to be seen. I personally am a fan of the show, and I have talked about the idea of a Ba Sing Se area before, but my opinions have changed a little bit on what I would like there. First of all, the Mythos restaurant, I think, if it were to be made into the Jasmine Dragon, which is the tea shop that is notable from the show, that would be a very nice fan service thing that would please many, and if done right, it could be really great and look really beautiful. However, there are two rides that I think should be added to this area. The first, I'd like to see a dark ride. I understand that this is the third dark ride I'd be putting in, but keep in mind two are replacements, so it's really one total net gain. And these would all be improved dark rides to make the caliber of the dark rides at this park even better. They are strong currently, as you do have Spider-Man and Forbidden Journey, but this one could be just as good if not better than those. The idea I've always had is a Crossroads of Destiny themed dark ride. This would be primarily about you being under the Ba Sing Se Palace. That's probably what the facade would be. And you would watch animatronics and screens, a good mix of both, battling it out with Aang and friends against Azula, Zuko, and all of that. And though there may have to be some changes made if it's themed to Crossroads of Destiny because of the very, very sad ending of that episode, I think if done right, it could be a fantastic dark ride, a technical achievement with a really great theme. It could be a lot like Rise of the Resistance in that regard, where it really does a full experience and story, and also has some great technical effects. So that is one ride I'd love in this area. They could probably use the Poseidon's Fury land and also a bit of land around it to be the full building, but I would also like to see a different ride added in this area. What does Islands of Adventure have? It has some great roller coasters, excellent dark rides, enough kiddie rides, the best water ride collection in the world, but it is somewhat lacking in the thrill ride collection besides its roller coasters. A lot of parks have quite a few. Unfortunately, Islands of Adventure is limited to Doctor Doom's Fearfall. A good ride for sure, but I think it could use one more. So I'd love to see a flat ride in this area. Perhaps they could do a ride similar to the Magic Carpet type ride that you would see at some parks. There's a version of it called Monsoon at Tivoli Gardens. It could be themed to a flying bison, where the vessel that you sit in looks like a sky bison, like Appa. That would be very nice for fans, and I think it'd be a fun ride. They could do a top spin, perhaps theme it to an airbending type thing. They could even use the similar type of ride that they're using at Nick Universe for Aang's Air Gliders. I think that'd be a less themed overall, but a lightly themed flat ride could still be good in this area, even though this ride would kind of need some theming because Lost Continent's always been a very nicely themed and aesthetically pleasing area. However, I do think an Avatar the Last Airbender area would be really strong here. So, those are my 3 big ideas for changes at the park. To review, I think replacing Skull Island Reign of Kong with Jurassic World Adventure or a new Gyrosphere Jurassic World Dark Ride. I think refurbishing Cat in the Hat or replacing it with a Grinch-themed dark ride. And finally, turning Lost Continent into a Ba Sing Se themed area from Avatar the Last Airbender, with 1 dark ride and 1 flat ride. These are 3 changes I would make, and though I see none of them happening anytime soon, I think all of them would better the park by changing some of the weakest attractions and improving them greatly. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this whole video and all my ideas. Please comment any changes you think would be great for Islands of Adventure down below. And if I should do this for any other parks, let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.